Hi friends, I'm back. Today's lesson is, okay, so now I've got this crappy diagnosis and I've decided not to listen to people who may or may not know how long I have, but I still find it really difficult to stay positive throughout all this. And I guess what I would like to say is I don't think it's possible to stay positive all the time, because you are not an unfeeling robot. You are a human person, and human people have feelings. They have emotions. It's what makes us human. Our emotions make us human. And getting a crappy diagnosis is going to make you feel bad sometimes, and that's okay. What's important is that you choose to feel positive about things most of the time, 51% of the time. You can shoot for 90 if you're an overachiever like I am, but let's just shoot for 51%. So how do I feel positive when, for one thing, maybe physically I don't feel very well, and certainly there's some fear associated with my diagnosis, and that makes me frightened and worried. And it makes the ones who love me frightened and worried. And I'm worried about them being worried about me. And it's just kind of this continual cycle. So I can only share what works for me. And maybe it will work for you. So first of all, yes, you're fortunate to have people who love you and who are worried about you. And that's always a good thing. I want to say that first of all, emotions are part of the human experience, right? Whether we deem them good or bad, all emotions are part of the human experience. And emotion is energy in motion. I happen to believe that physical disease is, as thought of in traditional Chinese medicine, stagnant energy. And so trying to suppress emotion because you don't think it's the right emotion to have it's counterproductive. So the first thing I'm going to say is whatever emotion you have it. I promise it won't last forever. Emotions are fluid, literally like water. So it's like a wave that comes in. You feel the wave coming in. You try to suppress it, and that doesn't work. Allow yourself to feel whatever you feel. If you feel frightened, if you feel angry, if you feel worried, all perfectly normal things, allow yourself to just sit there and feel it. Just feel it. And let it wash through you, knowing that this too shall pass. It's not going to last forever. If you have a spiritual practice that you find gives you comfort when you feel that way, by all means practice it. If you meditate, if you pray, by all means do that. I, for one, I'm a devotee of A Course in Miracles. And in A Course in Miracles, the Holy Spirit is defined as the bridge between you and God. Sometimes, let's face it, when you have a diagnosis like this, God seems far away. I'm not saying God is far away. God is always everywhere, all the time. And yet, still, when you get a crappy diagnosis, God can seem far away. And you can feel abandoned. I admit it. I love God. I love Yeshua. I love the Holy Spirit, Mother Mary, all of them. And yet, I have at times felt not only abandoned by God, but frankly like I was on his do-do list. So I get it. I do. I really do. So what I would do is I would pray to the Holy Spirit to move me from fear into love, from fear into faith, from fear into courage. All these things. I don't do rote prayer. I was born and raised a Catholic, so I know a lot of them. And yet, and I don't deny that they provide comfort to a lot of people. I know a lot of people who pray for me who are devoted Catholics and say the rosary, and I love that, and I'm grateful for it. It doesn't work for me. I just have to talk to God. So I would just talk to the Holy Spirit and ask, please, Holy Spirit, I am feeling fearful and I need your help. I need you to help me get out of this fear, because Fear is not conducive to healing. Love is conducive to healing. Love heals. Fear harms, love heals. Fear is the ego. Fear is, for lack of a better word, the devil. And love is God and all things divine. So we want to move from fear into love. And the way that I find to do that is to ask the Holy Spirit for help. And I have found you may not get it immediately. You may. You may not get it immediately. If you do it over and over, ask and it shall be given, knock and the door shall be open. Whatever you ask with a sincere heart, God will give to you. So do that. Other things to do, and I don't want to say like take your mind off of things because we've already talked about the importance of allowing true emotion to rise up in you and express it, but don't wallow in it. Allow it to crest and to fall. And then move on to something else. Say, okay, if I did feel better, if I weren't frightened, if I didn't have this diagnosis, what would I choose to do to bring me joy? What brings me joy? What brings me joy? I don't know. I like spending time with my husband, of course, and I have a dog and a cat who I love. I love petting my kitty cat, walking my dog. Those things bring me joy. Maybe listening to a type of music brings you joy. Maybe watching a type of movie. I like romantic comedies, and Under the Tuscan Sun is just my favorite movie of all time, and that brings me joy. And so I will say this, do not watch crap. Don't watch violence. Don't watch negativity. That means you can't watch the news. I'm so sorry. I hate to tell you that, but you really can't. And I promise you, if we are invaded by aliens or some other major crisis like that, you will know. Okay? You don't have to watch the news to find that out. The news wallows in negativity. It does. They have a news cycle to feed, and if it bleeds, it leads. And so all the bad news is posted all the time. I promise you, anything important happens, you will be made aware of it. Do not watch the news. Do not play violent video games. Do not watch violent or horror movies. Okay? None of this is good for your energy field. You want an energy field that is filled with life force energy, that is filled with joy. Joy is life force energy. You want to do all the things that are conducive to bringing you joy. Anything that brings you joy, you do it. If it doesn't bring you joy and you're not required to do it for your job or something like that, then don't do it. If you are required to do something for your job that really makes you miserable and goes against who you truly are, please look for another job. Please, because you're killing your soul every day by doing that. So don't do that, okay? I was going to quote something. Viktor Frankl wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. Many of you are probably familiar with it. It was written based on his experience in the prisons during the Holocaust, right? So, he's in these horrific conditions, okay? And not to make light of our crappy diagnoses, because this is no fun either, but we're not in a Holocaust prison, all right? So that's really a good thing, I think. And he wrote the book called Man's Search for Meaning. And I did not know this until today, but the title of that book, its original title in German is To Nevertheless Say Yes to Life. How's that? I think that's pretty cool. To nevertheless say yes to life. So no matter what diagnosis you might have received or a loved one might have received, I want you to nevertheless say yes to life. Because what's the alternative? The alternative is to say no. If you say no to life, why not quit now? Why bother with any of this, right? Say yes to life. And you know what? The whole purpose of it, Man's Search for Meaning, the meaning of life. I'm gonna tell you what the meaning of life is. I know you've been waiting your whole life to hear this because I looked for 55 freaking years. All right, for the meaning of life. Do you know what the meaning of life is? The meaning of life is to live it. That's it. That is the meaning of life, to live it. Now, to live it with a compassionate heart, to live it in love for your fellow human being, yes. But to live it, that's the bottom line. And you know, I think at the core of who you are, you know that. And at the core of who you are a good person who is compassionate and generous of heart, and you know that. So to do the things that bring you happiness will not have any kind of a negative impact on anyone else. It's not selfish to do what makes your soul happy. Yes, selfishness from an ego standpoint, yeah, the things that can make your ego happy, those can be selfish sometimes without regard for other people. But anything that you do that truly makes your soul happy, I promise you, is good for the entire planet. It's good for the people who love you. It's good for everybody. Souls don't have icky desires. They just don't. Souls are pure, they're of God, they're divine, it's who you are, it's your core, it's your divinity. Anything that your soul truly desires that will truly bring you joy, not a fleeting moment of happiness. Okay, this is not like a big screen TV desire, all right, or a cool car to impress your friends desire, or a, the latest gadget, I don't know, whatever. Although sometimes they can help, like, this is not the latest, but I am on a gadget to do this today, so whatever. But anything that you do, okay, that brings you joy, do it. So what inspires you? Read that. What makes you laugh? Watch that. What makes you feel the most alive? Do that. That's how you get out of the negative and into the positive. And you'll find that the more you do it, you're going to have to fight to do it at first. Okay? But the more that you do it, the more natural it's going to become. And the more you're going to find yourself, waking up feeling good and spending more time during the day feeling good. So that's basically the bottom line, is gratitude. Gratitude is the key to everything. It's the key to everything. I got a crappy diagnosis. What do I have to be grateful for? Well, are you watching this? If you are, you're breathing. Does someone out there love you? It could be a four-legged someone. You're fortunate. Do you have a safe place to sleep tonight? It's better than a lot of people in the world. How about enough food to eat? Even if you might be feeling kind of crappy right now and you don't really feel like eating. Do you have enough food? Okay. I can go on and on. Can you see the sky? Can you feel the cool breeze? Can you smell a flower? Can you hear music? You have a lot to be grateful for. And once you start thinking of those things on a regular basis, you'll find that you have more and more and more to be grateful for. They will be multiplied. They will be multiplied to you. Seek ye first the kingdom, and all these things shall be added on to you. Hallelujah. Now go out there and feel good. Make it a great one.